Welcome to the Style My Mind podcast. This is where fashion meets feeling, where we explore the powerful intersection of clothing, psychology, and identity. I'm your host, Jennifer Heinen, and together we uncover how what we wear shapes how we show up in this world. Today's guest is someone who brings a deeply intentional eye and heart to the styling world. Jazmin Whitley is a celebrity stylist, fashion editor, and former designer who made waves as the youngest person to show at both LA and New York Fashion Week. She styled red carpet icons, created her own fashion label, and now hosts the hit YouTube series Closet Raid, where she helps people reclaim confidence through their wardrobe. How amazing is that, please? But behind the glam, Jazmin brings a deeply human approach to fashion, one that recognizes style as both self expression and self support. So, in this episode, we're diving into how she helps clients see themselves more clearly through clothing, why emotional connection matters in styling, and what still needs to change in this industry, especially around size inclusivity. Jazmin, I'm so thrilled to have you here. Welcome.
Yay! That was a beautiful intro. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well deserved. And I'm so excited to have you. And before we dive into the emotional side of styling or anything else that we want to talk about, I would love to rewind a little. Your career started in such a unique way. You've evolved so much since then. And from fashion designer to celebrity stylist to YouTube host. Can you walk us through your journey maybe a little bit?
It's been such a whirlwind. Like sometimes I'm like, wow, I've lived so many lives. But I started my career in fashion really young. I knew school wasn't for me. So after high school, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to FITM. FITM was what everyone was doing that was interested in fashion here in LA. And I was like, you know what? Like, I really want to just jump in. I want to learn everything by experiencing it and doing it and making all the mistakes and just like seeing where things go. So I guess it was really risky and kind of crazy, like thinking back on it now. But it just felt right and it felt like the right path for me. And so I started out in design. I did a small collection. Um, and this is like aging me and like dating me so much, but I went to all of the stores that were really trending in LA at the time, like Kitson, like all the stores on Robertson, Intermix, like they were all the big boutiques, Fred Siegel. It was like a really different time. And so I like requested to like send, I don't even think, I'm like trying to remember back, like send photos to the buyers. Everything was so different back then. But yeah, so I think that they were a little bit intrigued with me because I was really young and I was kind of just like I had no connections in the fashion world. I was kind of just like putting myself out there and being really like forward and so I did get my pieces into a few different stores and it was really exciting, but I realized that it was really expensive to pursue fashion design. And so I noticed the way I felt when I would style the girls that would come and attend my fashion shows. And I also loved the styling aspect of styling the runway show and accessorizing it and making it come to life and tell a story. And so I was like, oh wait, maybe I can shift gears and like do this. And so um that's when I fell in love with styling.
That's so amazing. We are coming from similar-ish backgrounds, so it's very relatable for me to talk with you, and it's so exciting too, because design and styling, especially when you are putting stuff on your models, there is kind of a cohesion in that, right? In like the behavior and
Definitely.
stuff. So it's so fascinating. And I think it's also what you just said is so resonating with the people who are maybe unsure to go the traditional let's go to school route, and you can still find your way through a very difficult kind of some to be fair, fashion industry is very difficult anyway, so you kind of have to like be very resilient. That's probably the biggest keeper for making
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Resilience, persistence, you have to
Yeah.
really love it. I don't love to say that school's not for everyone because I do think it's incredible to go and to get an education and to learn. It's beautiful and wonderful. But I think that, for me personally, I learned differently through travel, through culture, through experiencing, through doing. I have like ADHD and I have a lot of my own unique quirks. So it worked for me, but I definitely like want my surgeon to go to school.
No, of course. No, of course. I'm just saying that it's good to have like multiple opportunities, because there are many people out there who struggle even to go through school or even financially, economically, they cannot go. So it's not like just because you cannot necessarily afford going to university, you have to give up on that dream, right? So that's
Right.
just what
Especially
I'm
in the
trying to get
creative
across.
world.
Yes. Yes, especially in the creative world, you have to be, I think, yeah, like you have to be very resilient and very steadfast and being able to handle rejection well. So that's definitely very true.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess the traditional route isn't always, it's not the only
Yeah,
way.
exactly. So looking back, was there like a turning point when you realized that fashion could be more than visual, like from to start going a bit deeper into the styling aspect of things? Is this something like that affects how people feel? Was there like a turning point where you realized that, like a specific moment, or was it more gradual, or did you always know?
Um, I think for me, like, so going back, like way back, when I was younger, I remember my mom being more of like a tomboy, being more like jeans and a baggy crew neck, and like she worked in like the home remodel business, but she had her contractor's license and she was on set with all or on set on a site with all of these men, and she was like, in a male dominated industry.
Mhm.
She was more like kind of rough and tough, but I remember when she would go to like a special event, a wedding, or go to church, and she would put on these gorgeous outfits. To me, like she was always like the best dressed person in the room. So seeing like, how fashion can kind of like transform you, and seeing like, oh wow, like it can really be like this moment where you go from your everyday life to like a special, gorgeous event look. It was just like interesting to me. Like that always like would pique my interest. And it was always cool to like go pick out a dress with her for, an event. And that was special. But I think as I went styling more and more clients, um, I just listened and I saw how different you can feel when putting something on that makes you confident. It's just like it's a transforming moment. And I always struggled like when I was in high school, I was always like really um chubby. I couldn't find clothes that fit my body. And so I think like that was always in the back of my mind. Like putting something on and feeling good and feeling confident was always transformative.
And that's definitely how I think fashion psychology is explained the easiest, right? Because it's in the end, it starts where how you feel and how you connect with your clothing on a more deeper level rather than just how you look, and then how that look projects outwards. So I totally get it. Has your own sense of style like changed as your identity and confidence has evolved over the years? Like, especially from being a kid and then moving up through the fashion world and the different facets of things?
Definitely. It's evolved and changed so much. It's really dependent on my mood and how I'm feeling about myself. Like I've just like super openly, like I've always struggled with like body image and things like that. So if I'm feeling a certain type of way, then I'll gravitate towards certain like silhouettes and shapes and styles. And I feel like as a woman, personally, I've always like fluctuated with how I feel and with how I look. And so it's like an ever changing thing.
Yeah, it's also non-linear, right? So
Yeah.
even you can be as confident as you feel like on peak, but you always still have days. Also with us women with hormones and everything, going through the cycle, that can like affect how we're feeling too. So I would like to start diving into like styling for, identity purposes and emotional alignment because I think that's such an interesting topic and you are just the expert to talk about it. So how do you, when you work with clients, begin to decode someone's identity when you're curating a look for them? Is it like instinctual? Is it conversational or maybe a mix of both or something completely different?
I feel like instinctual is such a good way of putting it. I always like explain like that for me, it's always like almost like a love at first sight. Like if I see
Mm.
a piece, like it's an intuitive thing where I know this is going to like sit right on my client and I know this is going to um like be the right thing, but I can't really put words to it. And I think that's the beautiful thing about fashion is that like my myself personally, I've always had trouble with like expressing and explaining myself verbally. Sometimes I feel like I don't have like the vocabulary and I don't know how to get my words out, but like through fashion, I can express myself so clearly without having to say anything. So, I guess to answer your question, I do like to talk to my clients about it, but oftentimes they don't know what they want. That's why they're coming to me. So, it's like it's kind of my job to find that for them. And I think, yeah, I think it's like an intuitive, like just a gift of taste and of knowing proportions and shapes and fit and color and everything all at once.
Do you consider if it's styling for an occasion, do you consider the occasion as well?
Absolutely. I think that, the the occasion, the setting, like the attire, the dress code, whatever information I'm given is so helpful. I always ask, all the details, like, is it daytime? Is it nighttime? What are we doing here exactly? And then I kind of go from there.
Probably where it is too, it's probably a difference if you're in LA or in the rainy London.
Definitely weather, all of the elements. Are you going to be outside, inside? I do like, my clients to feel comfortable. I think it can translate. They can be wearing something amazing, but if they're not really confident in it, it's not going to photograph as well. It's not going to feel as impactful. So I do take that into consideration.
That's amazing. Yeah, and that's again like fashion psychology at play, right? Because you can wear the most societally on trend, expected, perfect, picture perfect look. But if you don't feel it and it doesn't align with who you are and it's trickling down into your confidence in a negative way, you of course project that language wise outward. So that's so true. I mean, you are helping people facilitating a language of them being their best in their best moment, even if they're not necessarily in their best moment and they have to, fake it to get to that feeling. So that's amazing. So I have a question then. What does it mean to you when someone says, I want to look like myself on the red carpet? How do you balance personal authenticity with public representation? Because I can imagine that must be a quite difficult balance to be
I like to
struck.
be collaborative. I like to if someone says they wanna look like themselves, I just figure they wanna be comfortable and they wanna be in their comfort zone. But I feel
Hmm.
like it's my job to kind of push them a little bit and find the balance, like, okay, where is their comfort level, but also being the most elevated fashion forward version of themselves.
Hmm.
So I think that it's all a balance, right? Like
Yeah.
but also, like I said, like if they're not confident, then it's not going to translate. So
Yeah.
it's like that point where it's like just enough like out of their comfort zone and but also in it so that they feel on and good about themselves.
What has been like can you share maybe like a client story or maybe a moment where you were like tested to your limit of ability? Because I'm just very curious what are like bottlenecks that you are struggling with in your work?
I think okay, I'm gonna be honest. I think my least favorite clients are clients that have such a specific idea in their mind, Because oftentimes they're never going to be happy with the final look because they're thinking like in a specific Pinterest reference. And it's like bringing a photo of a gorgeous like model to your hairdresser and being like, I want to look like give me this haircut. It's like it's never going to be what you're imagining. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've seen that on social media a lot with all of the hairdressers who are like doing like I love watching currently those like consultation videos where they're
Yeah.
like doing consultations, like long form consultations, and taking people with them on their client journey with like a client who consented to be posted public. And it's so funny because most of the people are like, yeah, I brought some photos, and then they show them and they're from Pinterest, but they're all AI.
Yeah.
And then the hairdressers are like, yes, that's gorgeous, but it's AI, so it's not real.
Yeah.
So we can get close to that if we're
Yeah.
lucky, if your hair makes, you know, like
100%. Yeah, the features are different. You're everything is, different, and then you bring this photo, and so when people are super specific and picky, I think that it's difficult because they don't understand the entire styling process. So let's just say someone comes to me and says, I want to wear a poofy green dress. I can make that happen, right? But it's difficult because I go to all of my resources, all of the designers, the showrooms, the brands that I work with, and I pull from their current collection. So if nobody made that season, then that limits me. I mean, it opens up um I guess a door to be able to go maybe resource things a different way, like thrifting and go, or maybe rental, a fashion library, things like that. But I think that they don't understand when they're being so specific that that's not really how it works.
yeah, that's fair. If we're looking at it from the flip side, so maybe someone who has no idea and maybe even feels lost and is completely unsure, which is probably the primary clients, as you said, because that's why they need you to help you figure it out, I suppose. Have you like ever witnessed like a client transform emotionally just by seeing themselves styled differently as they have trusted you? And what has changed for them?
No, definitely. I think that I have one specific client. She's been with me for 10 years, and Um, I love her so much. She's like a sister to me. And I have this specific memory of a fitting that we had. She was not feeling herself that day. She was not feeling confident. She was feeling a little bit anxious. She was not maybe, a lot of these girls that attend these events, they're, go, 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 and they travel and they attend so many things. And she maybe necessarily didn't want to go to this and just was feeling off, and she wanted to hide. Like she wanted to wear like a really simple, plain, like under the radar look. And I put her in like this monochrome, all bubblegum pink, like a pink boot, a pink blazer dress, a pink, like just really loud. And she was like, no, like
What are you
just
doing to me?
why? Like, you know what I mean? But I think that it was really cool because after the event, she sent me the sweetest voice note, and she was like, I'm so happy that I ended up wearing that. Like I got so many compliments and I felt so good. And so it ended up being like an amazing moment, and she trusted the process and she trusted me. And I think that it just really paid off and looked amazing, and she felt amazing.
That's like, oh, such a heartwarming story. And that's also, if you trust the professionals that you're asking to help you out, that's like so rewarding because like, I always like to say, like, I see when I talk with my clients, different kind, right? Because I do transformation coaching. But if I see my clients and their potential, like the best potential outcome where they could be, and they maybe are not confident or sure enough, or the imposter has been sitting in their neck for too long to even trust that they could look like that. And then if you push them out, like same way in like this bubblegum outfit, which is so out there, I can picture it in front of me, like, wow, that was such a bold choice. And then she kind of embraces it and feels that's amazing. Wow. So
Yeah,
amazing.
I was really happy. It's so rewarding, and that's one of my favorite things about styling is is helping someone get to that point where they feel their best selves and they feel confident and they feel beautiful. And yeah, it's such a pretty part of the job.
Mm, yeah, I can imagine. Very rewarding. If someone is listening, well, if someone here listens who wants to kind of use their wardrobe as a tool for, emotional alignment, trying to figure out how they can utilize their wardrobe best to feel their best selves, even if they are not feeling it at all, do you have some advice? Where can they start? What's one action they can take that could help them?
I think it's super important to like play around until you figure out what feels right and what feels you. And I think once you do that, you can kind of build like a little capsule that you can go to almost like a uniform, and you don't have to think too much about it, and you can throw it on and it can instantly make you feel really confident. And a lot of the times um girls will ask me like what to wear on a first date. And I always think
Mm,
it's so great to have a first date uniform. Have like a
yeah,
first date go to, you're going to feel good. You're not stressing out because dates are stressful enough. You're
yes,
going, you're meeting a stranger, you're like, is this going to, it's so emotional. So I think having that ready like alleviates so much stress. It helps you be like in the moment, but you're going to look good, feel good. I think that's like a good little tool.
that's amazing. I'm curious. Might be a very personal question, but I'm curious anyway because what you just said that triggered something in me that I'm thinking about now. How do you structure your own wardrobe? Like, do you have it like Marie Kondo, kind of what sparks joy is staying? Do you have it color
I'm
coordinated?
so the chaotic mess. Least favorite thing about my job is organization, and like I am so chaotic. So anyway, I have structure in my head, not visually. You can't tour my closet right now. It's like, but I have like go to pieces that I like to wear that I know I'm going to wear when I'm running around. So being a stylist isn't super glamorous, you're it's physical. Like you're carrying a lot of garment bags and you're going and you're, running around. And so I typically love to wear a pair of really cute vintage Levi jeans and a crew neck when I'm like doing my thing, working. I like to also be a little bit more dressed down. I don't think it should be about me. I think it should be about my client, and they should look, you know, incredible and styled. And I think that it kind of takes away if I'm super dressed up. It kind of for me at least, I feel a weird energy of like, okay, I'm like the moment right now. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, makes
Everyone's
sense.
different, but
Makes sense.
I like to be like under the radar, comfy, cozy, casual, really good. Like right now it's my Sambas, my Levi's, and a crew neck. And then I also structure pieces that are meant for like a more formal moment. And that's typically like a really cute slip dress right now, a slip skirt, a blazer dress, like just like super um I guess wardrobe staples that I feel comfortable in. And then I have like pieces that I know I like for like a black tie, a wedding, a formal, a gala, like stuff like that. Yeah, that's how I like structure things. They're like in little categories.
I love that because the thing is, my wardrobe is also it. If someone would look into it, they would be like, "Oh my god, it's so messy." But I have like I like to call it like confidence corners. Like now what you said, like I'm like, my husband and I we go on dates. I'm like, I should probably like curate a really cutesy like husband and wife date corner with like their clothes. Like I haven't gotten that one yet.
Yeah.
I might
I
create
think
that.
part of the thing about dressing yourself that's overwhelming is not knowing where to begin. So when you
Yes.
have those little pockets of like, okay, for this, I like this. For that, I like that. You know what I mean? It helps.
Yeah, I love that. That's true. Like, yeah, because the overwhelm, the decision fatigue to even get started. That's
Yeah.
I see that with my clients too, that they feel like they're so stuck in their like typical uniforms, but they are like maybe even outgrown them because they're moving on and growing as their personality is growing. So that's so fascinating, and it's so true. I would like to like move on and talk with you a little bit about your YouTube series Closet Raid. Like, can you give us a little introduction what it is? And also, have you noticed any emotional patterns people go through while editing their wardrobe? I'm just very curious.
So I started Closet Raid back in, I think, 2016.
Hmm.
Um, and it was really fun and exciting because at the time and still currently, I was styling a lot of creators and influencers that had these like crazy followings, like 10 million followers, like numbers that were just wild. And I thought, I was like, when I was coming up with the concept, I was like, what can I do that kind of like incorporates them in like, video format where people can kind of see the fashion aspect. So I wanted to do this candid interview in everyone's closet and talk about their clothes and what they like to wear and their sense of style and just like play around and have fun. And it just felt so natural and organic and it just all clicked and it was really, really fun. Um, I ended up stopping the series and my like styling work became like so much because the Closet Raid was more of like a side passion project. It wasn't like
Hmm.
my main job. I wasn't a YouTuber. So I felt like, okay, I'm gonna put this on the back burner. But I honestly kind of regret doing that. I wish I would have continued it and it was so well received. And just last week I went to my local mall. I never really go to the mall, but I went to my mall and I went into Free People and the sales associate, she was like, "Oh, like are you the girl that does the Closet Raid videos?" And so I was like, "Oh, like I missed that." And so I just started a series called Picking the Piece that's um it's like a fun little take on um styling and having the candid conversations with clients and everything like that, but it's not at their homes. It's now being shot at a showroom in West Hollywood. It's actually the H&M headquarters. So I've been doing that. It just launched. I'm still working it out, but sorry, I like shifted so far off. I'm like, what
No,
was even
that's totally fine. I love this. Like, we should also I'm definitely going to put all of this in the info box so that our audience can like look and see what you're up to now because it's so exciting.
No, so okay, when I was filming the Closet Rate episodes, it was so interesting to see what people had in their closets. I think that's why the series was so well received, right? Because it's like everyone's curiosity, like, oh, what does their closet look like? What do they own? What do they have in there? I noticed that some of the girls prioritized like designer. And some of the girls prioritized just pieces that were flattering, that looked good, and no matter who they were by, no matter if it was from like thrifting or like a bargain store or what their local department store. That was super fascinating to see because some people put so much weight on the designer label and like, oh, this is by da 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 da, and then some of the girls were just like, "Oh, this is my favorite sweater. My sister gave it to me. It's a hand me down. I love this." Like, so it was really cool seeing like the contrast between the two different like mindsets.
Yeah, mindsets and then their emotional connection to things, right? Because I mean, having like a sweater from your sister is emotionally and sentimentally so much more valuable than any Chanel jacket you could own, right? Because there's like emotional and memories attached to
Yeah,
it, which is insane. So it's fascinating. Yeah, that's really interesting. So yeah, I
I
understand.
I'm such an emotional. Every piece that I have, I feel like I can't get rid of that. I wore that to this. This happened when I was wearing it. Like so much emotion attached to my pieces, and that's why I find it so hard to get rid of things.
But should I tell you something? That's me from fashion psychological perspective, right? Like I think that these pieces you should never get rid of. Even if you don't fit into them anymore, or you maybe they don't align with your style anymore or whatever. Because I think like for me, like my closet is like such a like memorabilia. So it's like every piece, like even if there's a split of an identity you used to inherit in that, like let's say your designer identity is in that one, and you had like that shirt on because you landed like an amazing opportunity to showcase one of your pieces in the store. This piece should never leave you because it's part of you, right? And
Yeah.
it's an extension of self. So I'm actually always one of those people who says like, I'm not saying you should hoard, but if there are emotionally significant
Like,
pieces in your wardrobe, you should keep them because they, like, if you hand them down to kids or nieces, nephews, nibblings, whatever, this is going to be so valuable when they know that this is a piece that meant a lot to you. So I just think like for longevity purposes and sustainability purposes and all of that, it's good to rather hold on to it and try to repurpose it rather than just stitching it because it's old or outdated, because trends
I
come and go anyway. I mean,
could never relate to a girl that's able to just be like, "Oh yeah, I donated everything to Goodwill. Like I'm getting a new, I'm like how? Like everything has such a story and a meaning
yeah,
and so sentimental."
mine too. I feel like we should probably like do a wardrobe swap at some point and just talk through every single piece because I'm that way too. I have like every single piece in my wardrobe has a significant story.
That would go on for
That would
hours.
be
That's a good
so
YouTube
interesting.
series.
Right? That's so
Yeah.
interesting to talk through like the emotional meaning of pieces. So yeah, anyway, we're getting a bit sidetracked now. But yeah, I guess if we're coming back to what we've been talking about and everything, I'm just also very curious. So we talked now a lot about the emotional meaning of pieces and how how especially clients work through their emotional maybe sometimes discrepancies to go to an event, etc. But yeah, I'm curious about the emotional labor that you are dealing with, like especially when it comes to holding space and styling. So, for a lot of people who are not aware and who are not in the industry, styling can seem very glamorous from the outside, but it's incredibly intimate, actually. So, how do you emotionally support your clients, especially during very vulnerable moments?
Yeah, I think that's such a huge part of my job, right? Like people, it is so intimate. You're literally dressing them,
Mm,
and that can be so yeah, so personal depending on what you're going through. I had a client last year. She had just had a baby, her first baby. Her body was changing. She opened
mm,
up to me. It has to, you have to click so well with your stylist. It has to feel like a safe space where you can communicate how you're feeling about your body, which is deeply personal as a woman. I'm sure that's something everyone can relate to. Um, and so a lot of it is um, just like reinforcing like positive messages to my clients and like explaining to them, okay, this is what we're going to do and why. And we're going to highlight the things that you love right now about your body. And we can not showcase things you're feeling insecure about. And you can, and just like talking them through. I like to be able to like every step of the way explain like why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think that helps them feel more confident and more like informed. But yeah, sometimes it's like a therapy session and a
yeah.
fitting and everything all wrapped into one.
Yeah, I was about to say it's very therapeutic, right, to talk through like emotions and stuff. And so it's amazing that you are able to facilitate a safe space when you're working with your clients. It's just a major, yeah, like talent and yeah, character trait that you are able to facilitate that. I can see that.
It's so crazy to see like the like range. Like when I go to clients' houses, like some girls are so confident, like they'll throw on anything, they'll put whatever. They're kind of just like so comfortable in their bodies and in their skin. And it's just like it almost just like stops me in my tracks and I'm just like, wow, like the confidence is so like inspiring and so incredible. And then there's like the flip side of the coin where it's like, some of the girls are like just so like crippling, like just insecurities and so uncomfortable and so negative and like the self-talk is so mean, like, which is relatable. I think we can all be like mean to ourselves. And so it's just like crazy seeing that. And I know that like my generation and like age range, right? Like we grew up in such a rough place with the whole body positivity didn't exist. It was almost the exact
Yeah.
opposite. It was almost like women didn't have the right. Like I think if you did love your body, it was like, oh, she's so conceited. I don't even hear that word anymore, but people
Yeah,
were
it's
like,
true.
stuck up. She's so conceited. She thinks she's all that. And like that was like a thing people said, like women didn't even have the right to be confident and like love themselves. And so like I have a younger assistant. She's 23 and she like it makes me emotional even talking about it. She's so confident and she looks at her body in such a beautiful, healthy way. And I'm just like, wow, like that did not exist like when I was growing up. And
Yeah,
it's so
same for me. It wasn't really a thing. Like for us, we like the word that was thrown around in my area where I grew up was oftentimes like, "Oh my God, she's so arrogant." That was
mm.
like, so she believes too much into herself, and I'm like, "How can you believe too much into yourself?" Like, I mean, how's that going to work? I mean, it's better you believe more than less.
Yeah.
What
It was like
contradicting?
wild to yeah, it was like a wild concept to be confident, to love yourself and to think highly of yourself. It was just like such a crazy time.
But to be fair, I love how we are like now in a world where I can just be who I am and I'm embracing this fully. And yeah, if I get hate for that, whatever. I love that mindset because it's so much
I love
psychologically and
it.
mentally healthier.
It's so beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
like seeing my younger like assistant and younger clients and stuff, I'm like so inspired by them.
Yeah, me too. It's amazing. And then that also like trickles into like all of the other facets, like everyone they touch, like by just their presence, it trickles through to them, hopefully. And then yeah, it's amazing. And women supporting women and online anyway. And I love that there's a body positivity movement now, body acceptance movement. I just think it's so, so necessary, especially when we're looking at how we grew up. So yeah, I agree. Wow. But like considering how like especially when you go to the range of your clients that have like they are really struggling, like maybe because they're literally I mean it also changes, right? One day they are the most confident person because they had just a great workout session and they had a fantastic week and then they just feel amazing meeting with you. And then other times when they just gave birth, or maybe they read a very mean hate comment that kind of stuck, right? Because sometimes they just stick. What that can be very, I can imagine for you, very emotionally heavy. So, do you ever carry emotional weight after styling sessions? And if you do, how do you like protect your own energy while holding space for others? Because I think that's a very difficult balance to strike.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's not something that I really like put a lot of thought into. Like I notice that if I have back-to-back fittings, I feel very drained. I need to
Mm.
schedule like a down day in between like if I have a hectic schedule because it is a lot to carry and you have to be very on and you have to be very you're like receiving a lot of emotional information and just it can definitely be a lot. I think yeah, I now that we're like talking about that, I feel like it's something I should be more aware of. But yeah, depending on my client's space that they're in, mood, how they're feeling, it can be heavy. It can feel like just a lot.
Yeah, but it's good. I mean, you're already automatically doing that you're like noticing your energy patterns and then you're like booking in a down day. That's already
Yeah.
amazing. So you are also more actively out there to support your own self because that's
That's so
important
true.
too.
I do try to check in with my therapist. I feel
Very
like
good.
it's so helpful. There's times where I will talk about just like work things and clients and stuff that might be a lot. So I've always utilized therapy, and I feel like it's such a good tool.
I'm so glad you bring this up because I want to destigmatize mental health support. It's so, so important to, you don't have to all figure it out by yourself anymore. I mean, you shouldn't actually. Like the human mind and what we are thrust upon with pandemic and ecological and environmental and all of those anxieties, we don't have to carry all of that on our own. So, and then all of the personal things that come along that too on top of it. It's
No,
a lot.
no, I'm
So
such like an advocate for just speaking out about mental health and checking in with your friends and seeing how everyone is. And it's just super important to me because I've always struggled with anxiety, with panic attacks, with so many different issues. And I've had really, really close friends that have also had a lot of mental health struggle. So it's something I like hold dear.
yeah, so audience members, you've heard it. Like we highly, highly recommend if you're struggling with something, make sure you reach out to someone who can actually deeply support you. If not your friends, sometimes it's good to go to see a professional because they can look at it from a very unbiased perspective, which can help as well. And they always should hold non-judgment, which is really important too. So yeah, maybe pivoting away from that and just moving in because our time is running. And I love this conversation so much. I could talk with you for hours.
I know I could talk for forever.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, yeah, but as a stylist, I'm very curious about, I know one of your bottlenecks, which are quite painful. And I'm just curious, how do you navigate that? Or if you want to speak about that, how do you navigate the very, very real issue of PR samples being made in limited sizes? So, what emotional impact do you witness in clients who maybe don't fit in standard samples, who maybe want a very specific sample and then it's not available in their size? And all of that around that topic. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts, feelings.
This is something that I get super heated about, super frustrated and overwhelmed by because as a stylist, I always reach out to all of the brands, the showrooms, the designers when I have a client. When a client comes to me, um, I should be able to have the same amount of options um, for a girl who wears a size 2-4, for a girl who wears a 6'8", a 10-12, whatever size they may be. And that's not the case. Like when you go in, there are racks and racks and racks of clothing that are a size 2, size 4, and then maybe like a little teeny section of like 4 random things that might be like bigger. And it's just ugh, like so discouraging, so upsetting. I think that there has been a movement to have diversity, inclusiveness, and to carry sizing. But I've noticed it's more so photos, campaigns, marketing. It's not really there available. It's not real.
Yeah.
So when I see those images and pictures and things, it's like, yes, but I also get annoyed because I feel like it's performative at times and it's not real and it's not really there and accessible to me. So that is a point of frustration. And um, a lot of the times, these big events, a publicist will tell my clients of the talent, like, oh, you're approved to walk this red carpet. And they don't have like a month to prepare. So in a pinch, it's definitely so much more stressful to try to get sizing. And yeah, there are go-to brands, like, I wanna shout out, like, Azazi. They're an occasion wear brand, they make bridal, they make, like, dresses, and I've been working with them for a few years, and I always, like, go to them when I need I think they go, uh, gosh, I wish I did know off the top of my head, but they carry such extended sizing, and so I can always trust that they will have an option for me, which I love. So I do go to the brands that have sizing, but most don't.
Yeah. Do you think, and that's probably a quite out there and tough question, but I want to ask it anyway, because I mean, I've been in the fashion industry myself and I've seen the discrimination when it comes to sizing. That's just sizing alone. We're not wanting to go into even deeper facets of it. But do you think the fashion industry's sizing gap still kind of sends a message about how who is like or isn't worthy of the fashion spotlight?
I mean, we did have this amazing like movement, and I think the trend was a more curvy, more full body, and
Mm,
now it is going back and regressing to the whole like Ozempic weight loss, like all of that starting to trend. And I think that yeah, there's always this like underlying message, and like um it's so bizarre because I feel like it's 2025. It's also, like, not realistic, like, here in the States, that isn't the average size, so it's confusing, honestly.
yeah. Yeah, I get it. I mean, to look at it from like outside perspective, I mean, yeah, the average sizing of the people is not that tiny. I mean, size 2, size 0 is, if you look at it from like health perspective, is oftentimes not even healthy for their body. So it's it's
Yeah, it's
depending
so
on,
confusing, it's like, "What's
yeah.
going on?"
My question is then, though, like, how can stylists, you, your colleagues, how can they push back? Is there like a way to push back and complain or like request it and seeing change through pressure by the stylist, I guess?
I think, like, I think the thing like, for me, I always ask, I always ask brands if they can carry some styles and offer some sizing. Um, I think just continuing the conversation is what we can do,
Mm,
because if brands are continuously hearing like that's what we want, that's what we need, they're going to eventually have to like somebody's going to have to produce something.
yeah. And to be fair, I mean, if we're talking about like one or two samples in a different size, that's not even very costly for most brands. It's almost a shame actually that they just don't have like the full range, at least, or even for one piece, like one style, like all ranges, or like at least, yeah, larger options.
Give us something,
Yeah, just something to not have nothing.
something to work with. Yeah.
So, what shifts, big or small, would you like to see how the fashion industry supports size inclusivity behind the scenes?
I mean, yeah, like I mentioned, I would love to see, a bigger section at the showroom, not just a few pieces, but like put a rack there, put like a full rack of options, like let there be um the possibility to go in last minute and grab something that isn't, an extra small zero. Like I think just having the options there. Um, I think it even discourages girls that are bigger to work with stylists because maybe they have booked a stylist and the stylist couldn't deliver. I think
Mm,
that like just um having options there and opening that up, you know?
I'm also like thinking right now, like when when I was like when I was wedding dress shopping for my wedding, right? I mean, I'm a bigger woman, so I have to wear larger sizes, and the samples were all ranging in different sizes. They usually picked, of course, the biggest one they had on stock and whatever. But for me, I was like, why don't you just produce anyway larger sizes? Because you can like style and pin those down to make them
Yeah.
also work. So you
Yeah.
cannot add fabric. You need to like, you can reduce, but you can
Yeah.
add. So that would
Yeah. They
actually
all
make it even
stamp
more accessible.
100%. Yeah. I think that makes so much sense. Right. And like another thing that just came to mind is like, I think some clients, some people get really hung up on like a size, right? Like the label, like every
Mm,
brand, a small, medium, large, extra large, like it's all going to look and feel different depending on the fabric, the cut, the brand, everything. So that's like a huge thing too. People get tied to these numbers, and that can be really difficult and like emotional for people.
that's such a good point that you bring this up. And I also want to throw my 2 cents in here for, especially for the audience. If you are hung up on your like not wanting to ever wear a large or like a medium or, aiming to fit into a small, don't. Because
Mhm.
what I've noticed the most when I try to go to European shops, they all grade their and construct their garments in centimeters, so in the metric system. And if you go to the US, in the US, they're using the empiric system, right? So with
Mhm.
inches and
Yeah, inches.
inches and stuff. So there is already a little wiggle. So as an example for me, if I go into a shop in New York City and I buy there, even it's the same chain, but they're grading and producing the garments differently, like, or if I would fly to Japan, I would not fit into those clothes because they're just made for the population.
Yeah.
So a small or like let's say a large in the United States fits me, but here I would have to buy like a extra or double extra large because otherwise because the gradation is just different. So don't get hung up on sizing because also sometimes the production crew ran out of a large and they just sew in like a medium. So
Yeah.
there are so many mistakes happening also in production. So don't get hung up on like the label
Yeah.
size. It's just
So
going to
important.
cause.
I'm so glad that we touched on this and that you shared that because it's like it puts you into this little box and it's so like damaging more than anything and it's silly. It's like a waste of time and energy.
Yeah, you should the energy and the time and the stress and the mental load that you put on yourself by stressing over a letter or a number in a label should way more go into you loving yourself and you
Yes.
repairing your relationship to yourself because that's so much more beneficial. So I want to definitely give that.
100%.
I love this conversation. And Jasmine, thank you so much for your thoughtful, open conversation, for your open and honest answers. It's always so valuable for the audience. And I know everyone's going to love this conversation already. And you've shown us how styling is not just visual, it's also very emotional and relational and deeply psychological. So, whether it's helping someone feel seen on a red carpet moment, or encouraging them to let go of old clothing that no longer reflects who they are, or keeping pieces that are very emotional and memorable for them, your work reminds us and my audience that fashion is a living story. So, before we go, we do have a
Yes.
closing tradition on this podcast where we challenge our listeners to facilitate growth, intentionality, and awareness. So I'm asking you now, what is your powerful challenge you would offer to our listeners this week? Something small but powerful that they can do to reconnect with their style identity.
I think that something you can do to reconnect to your style identity is doing a closet audit, trying things on, seeing what feels right, sectioning it off into like, this is what I wear when I'm running around. This is my errand uniform. This is my date night moment, girls' night out, kind of like cutesy, sexy cocktail hour attire that I feel comfortable in. This is my black tie. So when you go to a specific event, when you get invited to something last minute, you don't feel so overwhelmed, so stressed, and so like scared to know where to start. You kind of have something in your back pocket. It's like a tool. So I think that that is definitely really important. And also, in like the vein of sustainability, I think before you purchase something, do you have it in your closet already? Can you like dig through and find something that fits the theme or the vibe? And if you do need to purchase something, can you mix and match it with the things that you already do own? And if you are buying a wild, like purple zebra print top, like, are you really ever going to wear that again? Like, just be mindful.
I love that. So, audience, you have heard this week's Style My Mind challenge. So, make sure that when you are going through your wardrobe and you're doing a wardrobe audit, and you might even find a piece that you have worn maybe one time only and you are trying to repurpose it. So, that sustainability thread is kept pull. Make sure you snap a photo. Make sure you hashtag on all the social media channels with hashtag Style My Mind challenge, and make sure to tag Jasmine and I so we can share some love and just
Yes,
spread
we
the
want to
word.
see all your looks.
Exactly. So, to everyone listening, if you found something meaningful in today's episode, which I'm very certain most of you have, please subscribe, leave a review, share with someone who might need a wardrobe reset on their own. Jazmin, where can people find more about you, figure out what you do? Where can they inquire for your work? And in general, where can they find you?
In general, just Jazmin Whitley everywhere except for YouTube. YouTube, it's Closet Raid, but you can still find me by searching Jazmin Whitley.
Amazing. I'm going to also make sure to put all of this in the info box so that they are only one click away to find you, which is absolutely amazing. So,
Thank
Jazmin,
you.
thank you again and again that you took your time today to talk with me. It was such a
Yes,
wonderful
it's been
moment.
so lovely. Anytime.
Oh yeah, we might have to like hop on again for like a second episode, definitely.
Yes. Maybe we can take like questions and we can do like you know,
Yes, we could do
we
a
can answer.
Q&A.
Yeah, that would be so fun. Like
Oh
phone in
yeah.
with your fashion concerns and questions.
Yeah, that's such a great idea. So make sure to put all of your questions in the comments. I might probably do even a poll on my social media channels to just gain some questions. And we do a Q&A or something. That's so
Yeah,
fun.
that would be so fun. I love that.
So thank you again so, so much for your time.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So audience members, we already asked for you to subscribe, share, and like, but also remember your style is more than what you wear. It's your voice, it's your energy, and it's your evolution. So, as always, keep your head held high, dress with intention, and never underestimating the power of styling your mind. Thank you very much.